Okay, so today we are going to talk about how to create a Maven project in Eclipse. So let me first open Eclipse. Once Eclipse is opened, it first prompt for a location of the workspace. Now workspace is the directory in which you can store your projects. Simple. Okay, so you can provide any path, any location, any empty folder. Okay, so if the folder doesn't exist, then Eclipse creates that folder. Okay, so you can provide any empty folder as a workspace location, and you can say launch. So it will launch the Eclipse. It will create the folder structure which you have provided. Okay, so it will create an empty folder there, and that would be your workspace in which you would be storing your projects. Now this is how Eclipse will open, right? I already have this particular project which I am going to delete now because we want an empty workspace. So I am deleting the existing project. It was just a sample project, nothing was written there. Okay, so this is the workspace. Now if we go and check the directory on Explorer, so let me check that. So our workspace is this calculator application. This is the folder. So your workspace folder will have a directory called metadata. So the directory having this metadata folder is our workspace folder. Okay, now let's see how to create a Maven project. Now Maven, in the older versions of the Eclipse, you had to install Maven explicitly as a plugin, but now in the latest Eclipse version, Maven comes along with the Eclipse only. Now how to check if you have Maven or not? Go to Windows menu, Preferences, and here you can see Maven. So we have Maven already installed inside our Eclipse. Now let's use this Maven to create our Maven project. So basically this Eclipse integrates with Maven with the help of this plugin. Okay, this is how it goes. Now we have a plugin, and our Eclipse is going to integrate with Maven with that plugin. So let's go to the file, new, and we have here other. So let's go to this other option. Here you will see Maven. Inside this you will see Maven project. Let's click on next. Okay, so we don't need to do anything here on this window. Let's click on next. Now this is a window where we will be selecting our plugin. Now which plugin I am talking about? Let me remind you about it. Let me go to this, and here we have that CLI, a command which we had used yesterday to create a Maven project, right? So this command we had used. So in this command, if you guys remember, we had mentioned this plugin which creates a directory structure for our project. Yesterday we talked about this plugin. Okay, yesterday also we talked about a plugin, a web app plugin which creates the directory structure for web application. So Maven has different plugins responsible for creating a directory structure for different types of applications. Okay, so this plugin we need. So let's go here and just put a name of this plugin over here. Now here, once you enter the name of the plugin, it might take some time to populate this list, because actually what happens is it communicates with the Maven central repository, and then it shows you this list. So depending upon your network connection, once you put the name of the plugin over here in this filter box, so depending upon the network connection, I mean, the populating of this particular list might take time. So you can see here we are using 1.4 version of this plugin. Once we click on next, okay, once we click on next, what will happen? Maven will download this plugin. That also we had discussed yesterday when I had executed this command from my command prompt. First, it started with downloading the plugins, if you remember, right? So that downloading will be done if that plugin is not there on your system. So it would be first downloaded after clicking on next. Okay, now I already have that plugin, so it didn't take much time to get onto this window. Otherwise, it takes time to get onto this. If it had to download those plugins if they are not there on your system. So here we have to provide group ID and artifact ID. That also we had provided yesterday through our command line. So let me take these values again. So I would say artifact ID I want calculator API, and group ID I want DevOps batch 1, and version we can keep this, or we can even change also 1.0. okay, and then we have to click on finish. So it will, now you can see here on the right hand side, okay, below there is a progress bar which shows you the progress. Okay, now once that progress is done, once the process is done, you can see the project created here in this package explorer. You can see the project. So this calculator API is the name it has got from artifact ID. So artifact ID is the name of the project. So this is what we had provided, okay, as an artifact ID. So that is the name of our project. Now if we open the tree of the project, the same directory structure has been created. The same directory structure was created yesterday also for a project which we had created through command line. See this src main java, this directory is our source directory. Source directory means we would be writing our application source code inside this. src test java is our unit test case directory. We would be writing our unit test cases inside this src test java. You can see here Maven dependencies also. We will talk about it afterwards, like what Maven dependencies is. And here we have got the POM XML. Now let's open the POM XML and just have a look at it. I'll just increase the font, guys, so that it would be easy for you to see this. I'm just increasing a font, and I will just go in this basic and text font. Correct. So this is group ID which we had mentioned, artifact ID, version. So this POM XML basically contains the entire information about your project. So this particular section is about the identification of the project itself, like who is the developer of the project, group ID, what is the name, and what is the version of the project. Then let's come to this section. So this section is about which compiler of Java, which version of the compiler we want to use to compile the sources of the application. We can change this though, but let's keep it as is for now. Now this is the dependencies section. So our project currently has got only one dependency, and that is this JUnit dependency. JUnit is a unit testing tool like TestNG. We are not going to use JUnit, we are going to use, by the way, TestNG. Okay, now let's come to the very interesting section, this. Now you can see here, there is a build section out here. Okay, so this line number 30, build tag starts, and here build tag ends. Now if you just go up and see here, this build phase, the application's build phase has got different phases. Build life cycle has got different phases. So you can see here there are different plugin entries you can see. Okay, so as a part of the build life cycle of an application, Maven performs different tasks. Okay, so we are going to talk about those tasks, and we are going to talk about how Maven performs those tasks. I have already written all these things here. You can see from this line onwards, this line. Build lifecycle phases and their order. Okay, so what Maven does first, it cleans. Clean is the first phase in a build lifecycle. So what is clean? Let's understand. So clean means, let's take an example as, let me compile the application. Right now we have the files here, but these are the template files. These are not the ones which we have written, but eventually we would be writing our application source code here. But for now I just want to show you what is the meaning of clean phase. Okay, for that I would go here inside our project directory. You could see here there is a folder called target. Okay, what this target folder is for? It is for storing different outputs or outcomes, or which is called as artifacts of different Maven phases. Like for example, compile. So what compile process does? It takes the Java files, it compiles them and creates .class file. So a compile phase has Java file as input, class file as output. So where does it creates that output in? So it creates that output in this target folder. So this is called output directory. What it is called? Output directory. So it is a directory in which different phases will create their output. So compile phase will take Java files and will create class files inside this. Package phase will take the class files and create a jar file again inside this. So this is an output directory for different Maven phases. Build phases, build lifecycle has got different phases, and those phases has got some output to generate. So those phases generates the output in this directory target. So this clean phase basically cleans the output directory. I will show you. See, I'll show you how to clean it. So on this POM XML, we have to simply right click, run as, and we have to say Maven clean. So what it will do, it will use for this particular task of cleaning, it will use this clean plugin. If the plugin is already not there on your system, it will first download it. And yesterday I had shown you where it downloads the plugins. So it downloads the plugins in this location. Let me go to that location again. So in C:, your current user directory, and this another D.m2 repository. This is the location where it downloads all the plugins. So if the plugin is not already there, it will download those plugins. So it will download this plugin, clean plugin, and then it will perform the task. So what is this task? Clean. So the task is to delete the target directory. Now you can see there is no target directory. It was there previously. Now clean phase is cleaning the output directory so that you can create your build from scratch without any old files. Okay, this is the clean. Next thing, resources plugin. Now what is this resources plugin is? Basically it downloads all the required jar files and all those things, right? Whatever the dependencies your project has. Like currently our project has a dependency JUnit. So likewise you may have other dependencies also. So downloading those dependencies is the job of this resources plugin. Okay. Another thing, compile. Now let me compile the application. Whatever we have right now. We are going to write our application, but for now let's compile this app.java file. So how to compile? Again right click on POM, go to run as, and let's go to Maven build, this particular second option, and here we have to provide a goal. What is the goal? Compile. So goal is like a task. We want to ask Maven to do this task, compile. So as soon as I say compile and run, what Maven will do? Maven will download this plugin if it is not there. If it is not there in my machine on this location, this is called local repository. What does it call? This location? Local repository, where it downloads all the necessary plugins and necessary dependencies. Okay. Now it will download and it will compile. Now let's go and check the output of this compile phase. You can see on this console, So on this console you can see the output of the compile phase. So see here, it is first using the resources plugin to download the required plugins, and then it is compiling the code. So where it is, see here, you can see this line, compiling one source file. So which source file it is talking about? It is compiling actually the .java file from this location. See, here it is creating a target, it is creating the class files, but the compilation location or the source code location is this one. I would show you that location again. See this, src main java is a default source location. So it will go in this location, it will take this app.java file and it will compile it. So what would be generated? Class file would be generated. So where it will generate that class file? Inside the target folder. Now let's go and check the target folder. See here, this is the target folder, again got created. Previously when we had executed clean phase, so it was deleted that time. Now it has been again created. Inside this target, you can see the folder called classes, and inside this classes folder you will see the package folder has been created, and inside that a .class file is generated. So this compile phase, in short, this compile phase, what it does, it asks Maven, that compile goal, it asks Maven to compile the source code. So Maven has got different plugins to perform all these tasks. Okay, so first Maven will download that plugin if it is not there. So for compilation it will use this plugin. Okay, so it will download that plugin. So this plugin internally will use Java-C, which is the Java compiler. Okay, internally it would be using Java-C. So what it will do is, using this plugin, Maven will go to this location inside your project, src main java. This is our default source location. Okay, this is where Maven comes to check the sources of the application. It will take all the Java files from all the package folders. Now these are two package folders, guys. These inside the Java, do you see this? DevOps batch 1. So where this folder came from? This is our group ID actually. Our group ID of the project is what? DevOps batch 1. Group ID, inside that you will see a artifact ID, that is project name. So these two folders are actually package folders. So it creates the package folders group ID dot artifact ID. Okay, that way it creates the package folders. Inside that you will see a one Java file, which is a template file which has been created by our this plugin. Okay, this plugin does all these things. It creates the directory structure, it creates the package structure, this plugin, and also it creates few template files. Okay, so our compiler plugin basically comes to this location, text is app.java, compiles it, and it creates the class file inside the target folder, classes folder. So inside target classes, it will create the package folder structure again, and inside that it will put the class files. So this is the job of this compiler plugin. Okay, next thing, what it does next. Okay, the next is compilation, as we talked about. Then unit testing. Now unit testing, we do not have written any unit test cases as yet, but we have got the src test java. Inside that we have got one template test file. Okay, this is a unit test file. So this src test java is the default location where Maven will go to Maven will go and check if you have got any unit test cases code written here. Okay, so the next phase is this. What is this plugin? Surefire plugin. So this Surefire plugin is responsible for triggering unit test cases. We are going to see this, but right now we are simply understanding what are the different phases in a particular build life cycle and how Maven perform those and what Maven uses to perform those. So that is only what we are discussing now. Once we will implement our application, I will show it to you again, like how it calls and everything. But this Surefire plugin is responsible for calling your unit test cases. Okay. Now, one point which we missed here in the compilation. So Maven not only compiles your source code, but it also compiles your unit test code. Whatever the unit test cases you have written, right? So those unit test case classes also gets compiled with the compile goal. So what happens is, when you say compile goal, I have written it here. Maven uses compiler plugin which internally uses Java, as I told you. Okay, so compiler plugin compiles all Java files from src main Java, which is the default location, and it also compiles the src. The compiler plugin takes Java files as input and produces class files as an output. That is there. Okay, and it also compiles unit test cases. Okay, so this compiler plugin not only compiles your application source code, but it also compiles your unit test cases code, and it creates the class files for those unit test cases. Now inside the target directory, you will see one more folder which is not yet created, test-classes. It is not created because we do not have any unit tests written yet, but Maven compiles those files also, and it generates the class files for that unit test cases as well. I will show you that once we will create our project and once we will do all these things with our project. Then unit testing, as I told you. So we can trigger unit test cases. Okay, we can trigger unit test cases. Then package phase. So package phase. So for unit testing, Maven uses this Surefire plugin. For package phase, now what is package phase? Package phase is taking the class files and generating a jar file. Okay, that is called package phase. So in package phase, what Maven does, it uses this jar plugin. The job of this jar plugin is simple. It will take the class files from this location and it will bundle those inside a jar file, and that jar file would be created in this target directory again. I will show you now. See, I'll just go here to the POM XML. I'll just right click on this, run as. Again I'll go to this Maven build and I'll say package and let's run. So as soon as I run package phase, what Maven does, let's see now. Let's see the output of this. So Maven basically generates a jar file. So if you go to this target folder, you will see there is one jar file created. This is the jar file. Calculator API. This is the name of a jar file. So where it has taken that name from, if you go up, you will see there is a tag called name. If you want, you can change also here. If you, whatever the name you will give here, that would be the name of the jar file which would be created from that package phase. Okay, you will see the package created. So this is the job which is done by the jar plugin. Another task we can give to Maven is installing the jar file. Installing, we will talk about it once we will start writing our project, because there we have got one scenario where we need to install the jar file, and so there I will talk about more about this. But for installation, Maven uses this plugin. For deploying, let's say if you want to deploy your jar file on a repository like MVN repository, so something like this. If you want to deploy your jar file on this, let's say location, repository like this, then you can tell Maven to do it with the help of deploy goal, and for that deploy Maven will use this plugin. So with the help of this plugin, Maven will deploy your jar file on a repository. Okay, so this is how Maven performs its tasks. Another one very important point about this, that whenever you ask Maven to perform any goal or any task, okay, like for example, let's take an example package as I did right now. Okay, package is the goal which I asked Maven to do. So Maven not only will package it, but it will perform all of its prerequisite tasks. Means, what does that mean? Maven will first download the resources. This task it will, so these are all prerequisites guys for the package. So it will download the dependencies and required resources. Then it will compile our source code of the application. This task also it will perform. Okay, so when you ask Maven to perform any task like package, it performs all of its prerequisite tasks. It doesn't only perform package. So it will perform compilation of your source code. It will run unit tests also. Now we do not have, for now we do not have any unit test cases, but when we will write those, no, it will perform those unit test cases also. I will show you here. See here. First, what it is doing, it is downloading the resources. Then it is using compiler plugin and compiling the application. Then next it is actually triggering see here, Maven compilers test compile. So what this is? This is compiling the unit test cases. So it is also compiling my unit test cases. I will show you that. Do you see in this target folder, we have got one test dash classes folder created. And inside that, if you see, so there is a class file for app test created. So what is this app test? This app test is our unit test case file. So it compiles your unit test cases file, and then it will trigger your unit test cases also. If you go further down here, see here, it is first downloading the Surefire plugin, as I do not have it on my system. So it is downloading it here, and then it is triggering the unit test cases. Currently I have only one unit test case there, which is that template test case. I have not written anything here. It has come from that template, this one. So it has executed this test, okay, and then it has moved on to the next stage, that is packaging using the jar plugin. So Maven, whenever you will ask Maven any task, it will by default perform all of its prerequisite tasks. Okay, remember this. Now let's take an example, one more example of this. I will just go to this form XML and I'll just say run and Maven test. So what I am asking it to do, I am asking it to run the unit tests. So let's see what all things it performs. Now see. Right, now if you go up, you will see it performs all the tasks. It will download the resources using the resource plugin. It will compile your source code, application source code. It will create the class files for your application source. Then it will also compile your test case code. See here, it will compile your test case code also, and then it will trigger your unit test cases using Surefire. So Maven does the task along with all its prerequisites. Kindly remember this. It doesn't only perform the task which you have asked it to do. It performs that task along with all of its prerequisites.